2020, Ethan and Kimberly sat down to discuss the Phoenix Alliance's developing strategy of a threefold approach in the fight against human trafficking. The first, and probably the most important chord, is prevention. Chords number 2 and 3 are foster and shelter, both of which are aspects of intervention.
We started to look at, okay, what does our ministry really look at? Based on what we've learned in our time in the detention center facility, they're coming from a really, really difficult place.
Yeah.
So what do we do? How do we make an impact on that? And how do we balance prevention and intervention?
Yeah.
Which is something that's been a topic for a long time.
Well, and that's the thing, because, you go to an anti-trafficking conference or something, and you just see that there's so many different areas that people are focusing in. And, anything from people who are trying to get the laws changed to people who are actually, with law enforcement, and they're going in and they're rescuing the kids. And, there's just so many things you can do. So I know our hearts, we've probably been drawn most to working with the survivors on the recovery. But, everywhere you look, you just see so many needs. And so we've tried to focus in on the areas that we can do well, but also try to be comprehensive.
But we did boil it down into what we started calling the Threefold Approach, because we have 3 main areas that we feel God has called us to work in ministry. And the first is under prevention. And under prevention is the trafficking safety curriculum that we're doing, the ministry that we do with in communities and families, and basically everything that we do to try and reduce demand and reduce supply on the front end, to warn kids of the dangers and things like that, and to give them a structure and to give them hope, because that's what, a lot of what leads to the vulnerabilities that lead to trafficking. If they have no hope and they have no opportunities, then they're even more vulnerable. To predators.
Yeah, and they really need just to have somebody in their life that's telling them, hey, this is a possibility. We don't want to see that happening to you. How can we help? And, and I think for these kids too, just knowing that what they're going through, especially middle school years, that's just a really, really tough time. And just know that other kids are going through those same feelings. They're not feeling like anybody likes them, or, they're struggling in various areas, maybe with their families or friends.
The curriculum that we use was provided to us at no cost, out of pocket.
Yeah.
And so we're able to use that curriculum. All we had to do was the work. We had to learn it and get certified as teachers and all that. But that didn't cost us anything. So it was a really low bar entry, and we're able to do that here, and we're able to do that in a few other communities as well. In a recent newsletter that we sent out and a blog post, the superiority of prevention versus intervention. Intervention ministries are always preceded by pain.
Yeah.
So if you have to intervene in the life of somebody, you're intervening because there's extreme pain in somebody's life, and you're there intervening to try and help address that pain. How superior is it to go in and prevent that from ever happening in the first place? However,
worthwhile.
You cannot ignore the intervention side of things, because there are people hurting right now, and we can't do this. I don't think we could sleep at night if we did this without also having our foster and shelter. And these are both intervention chords. Foster being the area where we want to focus on recruiting, training, and supporting foster parents to work with at-risk kids, and kids that have experienced trafficking and sexual abuse and things like that.
I just feel like, this is something we feel pretty passionate about, that when a family takes something like that on, they need to have a lot of support, and we really want to help support those families.
We're not coming in helping because everybody's terrible and we're going to replace them.
Oh gosh, and there's other efforts out there too, that we're not the only ones, but
we want to come alongside people and say, look, would it help if we did this? Because and these are, again, these are people that care about kids, or they wouldn't be in this position, but they can only do so much. And so what can we do as a private organization, as a ministry organization, to come in and support what you're doing and support you and help you do a better job for these kids? Kind of going along with that, but we've got it separated out into the third chord as the shelter chord. And we've got that one separated out because it just does look very different from foster care. Shelter is homes and facilities.
Yeah.
And here, if you want to have a facility that helps underage
Oh
minors, right?
gosh.
The
Yeah.
licensing, like we don't even know what all is involved, but we've talked to
We
several
know
people.
enough to know it's
And
pretty overwhelming.
when you ask that question of somebody in a small organization that's done this, that's gone through the process, their eyes just get really big and they kind of get a little bit of a shake to them. Like,
True.
it's so difficult. And
Yeah.
saying it, and it just, I get it,
It's
we've
worth
gotta,
it. It's just
it's worth it, but it takes a while
it's
to get that started.
manpower, some
Yeah.
money.
Some money. Yeah. Quite a bit
Yeah.
of money.
So even we believe it's very important and we're going to continue working towards that, but it's definitely not one that we can just snap our fingers and have.
What we can do is a home for the same kids, a couple years older.
Yeah.
So kids that have been involved in trafficking or sexual exploitation, and have now aged out of the foster care system. They're out on their own. They've got no state support anymore. For the most part, these kids are kind of like, well, you're an adult now, so good luck.
And they don't, a lot of them don't have the family support either. These are the kids that are kind of falling in the cracks.
Yeah.
And then you add to the trauma of what they've gone through, and it's just a really hard place to come from and try to have success as an adult. So if we can give them some housing and some programs and, just take a little bit of that burden off of them while they heal and make their start in life.
Yeah, help them plan their future.
If you want to learn more about how the Phoenix Alliance can help support you in the care of hurting individuals, contact us at thephoenixalliance.org.